Hello and welcome. Tonight, the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations launches the Nigeria Reputation Management Group, a platform aimed at promoting Nigeria's positive image nationally and globally. The Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Yemi Cardozo projects that Nigeria's economy will grow by 3.2% in 2024 and 3.3% in 2025, with a robust growth rate of 4.3% anticipated in the long term. And stakeholders at the 30th Nigerian Economic Summit recommend the creation of an industrial policy, strategic collaborations, and an improved regulatory environment to boost manufacturing in Nigeria.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's official inflation rate jumps to 32.7% in September after 2 months' decline due to higher cost of petrol.
On sports news tonight, MFM Queens beat Nigeria Customs 64-53 to win the NBBF Women Basketball League for the second consecutive time.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, the presidential metering initiative, supported by the World Bank Distribution Sector Reform Program, procures 1.3 million electricity meters, with the first set expected to arrive by December 2024.
And in international news from London, the UN says its peacekeepers will stay in their positions in southern Lebanon, despite repeated demands by Israel that they should move.
The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations has launched a Nigeria Reputation Management Group, a platform it hopes to use to promote the country's positive image nationally and globally. President of the Institute, Mr. Ike Neliako, notes that the initiative will strive to project Nigeria's image globally, notwithstanding existing challenges. The event, which was chaired by the chairman, Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, attracted top government officials, including 3 former ministers of information, the current Minister of Information and National Orientation, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Remain blessed. Please be seated.
It's a gathering of top government officials, private sector players, and young people who are represented here by members of the Nigeria Youth Service Corps, as the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations launched the Nigeria Reputation Management Group in Abuja. Born out of the realization of the country's image on the global scene, the Nigeria Reputation Management Group will drive a new narrative that will challenge the stereotypes.
We are here to unveil what will become Nigeria's biggest possible transformation pillar and driver, the reputation project. The reputation of our country needs some help. Today's event is NIPR's robust response to the call.
John Momo, now chairman of today's.
The initiative is both government and citizens driven, with enormous shared responsibility.
Nigeria's reputation, again I repeat, needs a radical transformation. And I'm not referring to our standing on international rankings. Instead, I'm talking about the reputation that is built on the integrity of our institutions, the transparency of our leadership, and the well-being of our people. So today I offer a charge. First, to our politicians and leaders. The mandate that you politicians hold is a sacred trust, not a personal opportunity for enrichment. Ethical leadership must become the standard, not the exception. And to the citizens, I urge you to remember that the future of our country lies not only in the hands of our leaders, but in our own actions. We cannot demand integrity from others if we do not hold ourselves accountable.
The way people are using social media to destroy individuals, to destroy the nation, is absolutely unacceptable. It's very, very bad indeed. Because you see, we can all work together and have a good reputation for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. One or two people can just destroy it. And this program will not go anywhere if the people of Nigeria continue to do what we are doing now, destroying the very basis of our existence.
Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Nigeria can boast of an array of sons and daughters who are making Africa proud on the global stage. However, the negative behavior of a few have mostly been spotlighted by social and midstream media, a development the government urges citizens to challenge.
Nigerians, both at home and in the diaspora, are the primary ambassadors of our national brand. Every interaction, every social media post, and every business transaction contributes to how Nigeria is perceived globally.
We must find a way of striking a true balance between, especially for the media, reporting accurately, objectively, and also being patriotic about your country.
The high point of the event is the digital launch, which highlights the pivotal role, professionalism, trust, communication, inclusivity, and ownership in the new drive to recreate Nigeria's reputation nationally and internationally.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the Nigeria Reputation Management Group, Mr. Yomi Badijo Kunsanya, has thrown more light on the mission of the group and its modus operandi. Speaking at the launch of the project in Abuja, the Director General notes that the initiative will use public relations to change perceptions locally and internationally. The Nigeria Reputation Management Group is the brainchild of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations.
Our philosophy at the Nigeria Reputation Management Group rests on that we believe that national reputation rests on loyalty to positive values as pillars of national identity. The group will drive and sustain Nigeria's national identity in the public and private sector area as a value capital that is guided by global best practices in national reputation management. Our mission is to improve and sustain national transformation using strategic public relations to reshape perceptions locally and internationally.
The Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olayemi Cardozo, is projecting Nigeria's gross domestic product growth rate of 3.2% for the year 2024 and 3.3% for 2025. He stated this during an interactive session with the House of Representatives Committee on Banking Regulations. The CBN Governor also reiterated the government's plan for the realization of $1 trillion economy by the year 2030. Our National Assembly correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
The House of Representatives Committee on Banking Regulations meets with the Central Bank Governor for an interactive session on policy measures and strategies to address domestic macroeconomic challenges.
For a country that relies on imports, this exchange rate crisis is not just an inconvenience, it is devastating. Nigerians are yet to see any real improvement in their day-to-day lives. Again, I feel we are all responsible. Unemployment, which increased by 5.3% in the first quarter of 2024, continues to climb as businesses are forced to cut jobs, largely due to harsh monetary environment and an unstable exchange regime.
The governor of the CBN speaks on plans to address the spiraling inflation in the country.
Our focus has been on how to stabilize the economy, restore investor confidence in financial markets, and provide a seamless path to sustainable growth.
The country's GDP growth rate, which has been a major concern, is also in focus, as Mr. Cardozo shares what could be some good news.
Projections indicate a growth rate of 3.2% and 3.3% for 2024 and 2025 respectively. Although positive, these estimates remain below historical averages, suggesting moderate rather than robust expansion. In the second quarter of 2024, the economy grew by 3.19%, up from 2.51% in the corresponding period of last year, driven largely by non-oil sector. Similarly, the industrial sector has shown remarkable improvement, with its growth rate surging to 3.53% from 0.31%.
According to Mr. Cardoso, the foreign exchange reserves have grown significantly to $39.12 billion as at October 11, 2024, from $34.70 billion at the end of June 2024, driven largely by foreign capital inflows, receipts from crude oil-related taxes, and third-party. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
The chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, has called for a shift in the tax burden from the poorest citizens to wealthier individuals as part of efforts to increase government revenue. Mr. Oyedele made the call at the first Revenue Assurance Summit with the Internal Revenue Services of all the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, organized by the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit in Abuja. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
The Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, convened its inaugural National Revenue Assurance Summit, bringing together key stakeholders to discuss improving domestic revenue mobilization, explore innovative ways to boost revenue generation, and address the challenges faced by state government. Prominent attendees include the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, representatives of the Independent and Corrupt Practices Commission and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and executive chairs of Internal Revenue Services from all states and the Federal Capital Territory. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, Mrs. Hafsat Bakari, in her opening remarks called for innovative strategies to boost the economy, diversify revenue, and tackle tax evasion.
While our work on tax crimes initially focused on supporting the Federal Inland Revenue Service, we took a step further to explore partnerships with subnational counterparts. This expansion was predicated on the recognition that the vast majority of tax evasion happens at the state level. We have also developed, using our in-house technical resources, a secure platform for requesting and receiving intelligence from the NFIU, the Crimes Record Information Management System.
The chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, gave the keynote address, highlighting the need to create a more equitable and sustainable tax system, benefiting both citizens and the country at large.
The number we have also gives us the optimism and the hope that we can ramp up our revenue significantly, even from tax, by protecting the vulnerable people. So those who have been paying have been mostly the poorest people. That's why the revenue is small. So protect those people, give them exemptions, and then allow the people who have ability to pay to start paying, and that's where the money will come from. And it's in our enlightened self-interest for the elites and the upper middle class to pay taxes, because that way, when they pay taxes, they will not have to incur implicit taxes of running their own local government in their own houses, which is more expensive.
The summit provides a platform for frank discussions and is expected to contribute significantly to improving Nigeria's revenue base and promote economic growth. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, stakeholders at the 30th Nigerian Economic Summit recommend the creation of an industrial policy, strategic collaborations, and an improved regulatory environment to boost manufacturing in Nigeria. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations launches a Nigeria Reputation Management Group, a platform aimed at promoting Nigeria's positive image nationally and globally. The Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Olayemi Cardozo projects that Nigeria's economy will grow by 3.2% in 2024 and 3.3% in 2025, with a robust growth rate of 4.3% anticipated in the long term. And stakeholders at the 30th Nigerian Economic Summit recommend the creation of an industrial policy, strategic collaborations, and an improved regulatory environment to boost manufacturing in Nigeria. The creation of an industrial policy, strategic collaborations, and an improved regulatory environment are some of the recommendations made by stakeholders in one of the sessions at the second day of the 30th Nigerian Economic Summit. Speaking at the event, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Economic Summit, Mr. Tayo Aduloju, says industrialization is the foundation of any country's economic growth, and government must take necessary steps to tackling the issues that could unleash the significant potential of Nigeria's manufacturing sector.
It's day 2 of the National Economic Summit, and the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Tayo Aduloju, is leading stakeholders to this session, focusing on the manufacturing industry with the theme, Industrialization, the Catalyst for Nigeria's Transformative Growth. The session provides an invaluable opportunity for stakeholders present to explore ways to drive industrialization and, by extension, Nigeria's manufacturing sector.
My question is, what industrial compact can the stakeholders here reach today that unleash a set of forces to get us to our next decade of growth and get the industrial sector, which has stagnated, back to where it is doing what it was meant to do?
The conversation quickly broke into this panel session, where participants spoke on challenges in the manufacturing sector and made some policy recommendations.
We need to co-create an industrial policy that will drive everything else we'll do about manufacturing. It will guide our foreign policy. It will guide the protocols, the trade agreements that we sign. And we should be intentional about it.
From my perspective, it's been difficult. Are you talking of new areas? Yes, there are new areas, definitely, because our policy remains the same. We are Nigerians. We will continue to invest in Nigeria. I'm going to look for things that will make us use local materials, not necessarily going to central bank for dollars.
However, the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, explains government's efforts to ease the manufacturing environment, particularly with the implementation of tax bills.
We also have proposed reduction in corporate income tax rate, although this is not particular to manufacturing, and the proposal is to reduce the corporate income tax rate from 30% to 25% over the next 2 years. The reality also is that you have to accept that certain things cannot be as fast as you wish. Having stakeholder engagement, consultation, data, and then working through the bureaucracy of government is a project on its own. But the good news is we're making progress.
The session ends with the launch of a policy compact, which will cut across different strata in the sector and will, amongst other things, serve as a governance assessment document. From Abuja, Victoria Longjohn for Channels Television News.
The chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Zach Adedeji, has allayed fears of possible introduction of new taxes through the proposed tax reform laws. Mr. Adedeji, who made this known when he appeared before the Senate Committee on Finance, assured Nigerians that the tax reform laws would not entail introduction of new taxes or increase of already existing ones. At the interactive session aimed at briefing the committee on the future plans of the service and implementing tax reforms, the FIRS boss notes that the reforms essentially seek to increase simplicity, efficiency of tax administration, and obliterate multiplicity of taxes without the intention of merging any agency. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Omezoke reports.
Nearly 2 weeks after President Bola Tinubu submitted 4 tax reform bills to the National Assembly, the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service appears before the Senate Committee on Finance for a crucial interface and status report on the tax reform policies.
We look forward to hearing from the chairman about the progress, challenges and future plans of the FIRS in implementing these reforms.
We want our law to be simple, that everybody can just read, and neutrality of taxes, meaning that we want people to pay their only fair share of the benefits as Mr. President has said time without number, that he is interested in taxing the prosperity, not the poverty. He is interested in taxing the fruit, not the seed. He is interested in taxing returns.
At the interactive session, members of the committee sought several clarifications, including the reason behind the name alteration to the Nigeria Revenue Service.
But because of this global online charging that we're doing, today we have to open accounts abroad to actually collect those online charges that is due to us here in Nigeria. Just to harmonize what we do with what we should be called.
Other senators were clearly dissatisfied with the bills.
You are now bringing everything together again at revenue. I'm coming at revenue point. Instead of you to collect for federal government different, okay, if you say for federation, we expect you to collect only for federation, not for federal government. So that the federation, the federation, the nationals will not have question to ask.
Mr. Chairman, let this bill look into by the set of quality before it goes, because it will not see the light of the day.
The FIR's boss allays fears of possible introduction of new taxes through the reforms.
Tax reform is not and will not increase or introduce any taxes. If anything, because when we talk about harmonization, it actually reduced the number of taxes that will be paid and also increase the simplicity and efficiency of tax administration in Nigeria.
The Senate committee hopes to convene another meeting with the service before the scheduled public hearing on the matter. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News.
Former military head of state General Yakubu Gowon is urging the political class to be more concerned about the peace and the good of the people. Now, he stated this during a media parley as part of activities to mark his 90th birthday in Abuja. General Gowon expressed sadness over the way democracy is practiced in Nigeria, describing it as crazy. He urges Nigerians to continue praying for the development of Nigeria.
Honestly, one feels inner gratified, that Nigeria made me what I am, and I must not do anything to create a problem for it, but to do whatever we can with your support as well to get Nigeria going. And this is why I pray our political parties and politics in Nigeria should really be thinking more of well-being of Nigeria, peace of Nigeria, peace within their own area, community, etc. And all that is happening in various states, today, if I mean, make you feel sad, if I mean that we say democracy, but it looking as though it is going crazy, not democracy, but democracy. That is what is happening in Nigeria. But however, let us not give up praying and also making sure you believe.
The River State House of Assembly, led by Martin Amewule, has declared the seat of Edison Ehie, the Chief of Staff to the River State Governor, vacant. The declaration followed a motion during plenary today, even as the seats of 3 other lawmakers loyal to Governor Siminalayi Fubara were also declared vacant for being absent from plenary for an extended period of time. Our correspondent Charles Oporom reports.
It's another sitting at the River State House of Assembly, and the leader of the House presents the appeal court judgment, which affirmed the speakership of Martin Amewule.
Judgments of the Court of Appeal delivered on Thursday, the 10th day of October 2024, under the appeal number CA/ABJ/CV/133/2024. Mr. Speaker, delivered by their lordships
Justice Joseph Olubimi K. Oyewole, Justice Okon Efrete Abba, and Justice Isha Mohammed Sani.
After that, he moves a motion to declare vacant the seats of the governor's loyalists, Edison Ehie, Victor Okojumbo, Fokari Goodboy, and one other for not participating in legislative activities for over a year.
By Section 1092 of the 1999 Constitution, as altered to give effect to Section 1091 of the Constitution and declare their seats vacant in following satisfactory evidences of their willful absence from meetings to sitting of the House.
The House debates this with different lawmakers weighing in. 3 separate votes are taken on the vacancy declaration, while the Speaker resolves to write INEC to conduct elections to fill the vacancies.
The Constitution has said that if a member is absent for 1/3 of our total sittings, Mr. Speaker, we have no choice but to abide by the spirit and letter of the Constitution, the Federal Government of Nigeria, 1999, as altered.
The Speaker also resolves to give Governor Fubara yet another opportunity to represent the appropriations bill to the House following its nullification by the appeal court.
We are representatives of our people. We love our state, River State. We want peace in this state. That is why we have decided to heed to the pleas that we should give the governor one more opportunity to present the 2024 appropriation bill.
With this move, the Assembly is strengthening its position, and it remains to be seen how the governor and his loyalists will respond. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the River State House of Assembly, led by Victor Okojumbo, has restated its resolve that the legislative seat of Martin Amewole and 24 others remain vacant following their defection from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress on December the 11th, 2023. The Assembly also said the seats must be filled through a by-election to be conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Speaker of the group, Mr. Victor Okojumbo, in a statement explained that the 25 legislative seats were declared vacant on December the 13th, 2023 by the then legitimately recognized Speaker Edison Ehie. He expressed regret over the delay by INEC to conduct by-elections to fill the seats, noting that the inability of INEC to do the needful has created room for what he called unnecessary distractions from Amewole and his committee of friends. He then called on INEC to discharge its constitutional responsibilities to the people of the state. Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's official inflation rate jumps to 32.7% in September after 2 months decline due to high cost of petrol. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Welcome back. Let's now head to the nation's capital, where Gloria Umezuoke is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you, Ayo. Here in Abuja, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Walson-Jack, is urging human resource practitioners to cultivate adaptability to navigate the disruptions caused by technology in personnel management. Mrs. Walson-Jack made the call while delivering the keynote address at the 56th International Conference of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management in Abuja.
Over 2,800 physical delegates are participating in the 56th International Conference and Exhibition of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. The conference is bringing together human resources practitioners as well as stakeholders to address key issues and innovation in human resource management. The theme for this year's conference, Managing People and Businesses for Resilience, underscores the importance of adaptability and sustainability in today's rapidly evolving business landscape. Participants are expected to explore strategies for fostering resilience within organizations, enhancing employee engagement, and leveraging human capital to drive growth and innovation.
We are living in an era of constant change. Across the world, businesses are grappling with challenges like economic shifts, technological advancements, shifting workforce dynamics, global pandemics, and even global health crises. in this landscape, one thing has become abundantly clear. Resilience is no longer an option. It is a necessity for survival and for growth. As HR professionals and leaders, our role is critical in building that resilience.
The keynote speaker is the head of service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Wilson-Jack, and she urges the practitioners to adopt principles that will ensure effective leadership in the modern workplace.
In today's fast-evolving world, leaders must cultivate adaptability within themselves and within their teams. The ability to recalibrate strategies in response to shifting realities is essential to navigate disruptions and seize new opportunities.
The plenary sessions are expected to lay the groundwork for strengthened leadership frameworks, improved people management practices, and strategies for navigating future challenges in human resource management.
The People's Democratic Party in Ondo State has flagged off its governorship election campaign rally in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Addressing the gathering, the flag bearer of the party in the election, Honorable Agbola Ajayi, laments the present economic situation in the state. He, however, assures the people of the state of a positive change if he is elected as governor.
Leaders of the PDP from both the national and state levels, as well as party loyalists, storm Akure, the Ondo State capital, for the governorship election rally. The acting national chairman of the party, Umar Damagum, is leading the national executives of the party to attend the rally. One after the other, the speakers appeal to the electorate in Ondo to vote for the PDP candidate, noting that he is capable of leading the state efficiently.
Starting from today, you go and knock from house to house and bring them the good news that PDP is here for progress in Ondo State. Our candidate, Agbola, is a tested hand.
Mr. President, we are pleading that you do not allow anti-democratic people to truncate our democracy. Election must be free and fair, even in Ondo State.
PDP. Ondo is a home of knowledge. It is a place where everybody knows his right, isn't it? We will not condone injustice. But I want to assure you, all the 13 governors are with you.
The acting national chairman of the PDP, Umar Damagum, while addressing the gathering, notes that it's payback time. He says only the PDP candidate can deliver the dividends of democracy to the people of Ondo State.
Opportunity have come to you once again to change the narrative, to change hunger, to change poverty and insecurity. Agbola Ajayi is a well-tested candidate that can deliver dividend of democracy to all of you in Ondo State.
The party's flag bearer, Agbola Ajayi, promises to bring back good governance to Ondo State if elected as governor. Mr. Ajayi also expresses some reservations about the Resident Electoral Commissioner of INEC in Ondo State.
Our governor has passed a message. The National Electoral Commissioner of Ondo State, Barrister Babalola, must leave Ondo State to create level playground for this election. The woman was born and brought up in Ondo State. Her parents live in Ondo State. She can never be fair in this election.
The high point of the event is the presentation of the party's flag to Honorable Agbola Ajayi and his running mate Festus Akingbaso by the PDP acting national chairman.
The federal government, through the Presidential Metering Initiative, supported by the World Bank Distribution Sector Reform Program, has procured 1.3 million electricity meters, with the first set expected to arrive by December 2024. The Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, announced this during the 2024 Nigeria Energy Leadership Summit in Lagos, where he highlighted the ministry's efforts to tackle the persistent metering gap that has long plagued the nation's electricity distribution system. He also emphasized the significance of the 2023 Electricity Act and the integrated national electricity policy in fostering sustainable improvements as Nigeria continues to navigate its electricity challenges. Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's over to Dominic Iwewu for Business News.
Thank you, Gloria. On business news, after 2 consecutive months of decline, Nigeria's headline inflation rate has climbed back again. According to the latest report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the rate rose by 0.55% month-on-month to 32.70% in September from 32.15% in August. This was largely driven by higher cost of transportation and food prices following the hike in the petrol price announced last month by Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Key highlights of the inflation report shows that food inflation sub-index rose to 37.77%, while core inflation surprisingly decelerated for the first time in 10 months. At the same time, urban inflation rose to 35.12%, while rural inflation dropped from its previous level to 30.49%. Meanwhile, economic think tank, the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises, has reacted to the rebound in the country's inflation rate. In a statement released by its CEO, Dr. Muda Yusuf, the CPPE explained that the inflationary pressure has remained unsolved because key drivers have not been effectively subdued, while noting and citing numerous issues on the supply side as factors for higher inflation. Dr. Yusuf recommends that the government needs to urgently fix issues relating to power, logistics, and forex and food security in order to put it under control. As countries move to reduce carbon emissions to achieve less than 2% global warming, stakeholders in Africa's renewable energy sector are calling for higher investment in renewable energy infrastructure. According to the Director General of the International Renewable Energy Agency, the time to ramp up investments is now as debt and inflation risks persist. He made the comments at the ongoing Accelerated Partnership for Renewables in Africa Investment Forum in Nairobi, Kenya.
We have seen that when the Ukrainian crisis started with the invasion by Russia, renewables have accelerated their path because tension makes evident that a decentralized energy system is more resilient to risk. So countries to become more resilient are going faster to a decentralized energy system, where there are more suppliers, the market is more functioning, less dependency. So the global tension will reduce naturally the capacity to invest because of money will go to fund the conflict instead of funding the economy. But in relative terms, renewables will be the least impactful from this.
It's another win for the domestic stock market as it added nearly 200 billion naira to the total value of equities listed on the NGX at the close of today's trading session. John Mekwa tells us more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report, where Aradel is still a driving force at the NGX at the close of Tuesday's trade. Today, that stock gained 47 naira 10 kobo to close at 820 naira, dragged the market into the green zone, or keeping it in the green zone, more like it, after its listing yesterday. The sectors capture them today, capture Aradel's trade today. Banking is, however, down. IBN Holding is responsible for that 0.78%. consumer goods today, a lot of contributors leading it to this slight upward movement. Now we see Dangote Sugar, Guinness, and Honeywell Flour, and then oil and gas. Not just Aradel, but we see Ondo and Eternal Oil also contributing to that 0.13% of the oil and gas sector. At the close of trade today, about 200 billion was added to the market cap, and we're moving, really close right there. I hope we will hit 60 trillion naira real soon, as the market was up 0.33% at the close of Tuesday's trade, and it's still the reign of the bull.
And that's it on business news. It's back to Ayo for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Dominic. The U.S. government has written to Israel, giving it 30 days to urgently boost humanitarian aid access in Gaza or face having some U.S. military assistance cut off. The letter amounts to the strongest known written warning from the Biden administration to its ally, coming as Israel's attack on northern Gaza has seen mass forced displacements of civilians to the south. Here's Simon Pusey with more on this and other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The UN says its peacekeepers will stay in their positions in southern Lebanon despite repeated demands by Israel that they should move out of the way of its forces there. Lebanon says at least 21 people have been killed and 8 others injured in a rare Israeli strike in the north of the country. The strike hit a residential building in Aito, a mainly Christian village far from the areas where Israel has carried out strikes targeting Hezbollah. Israel says it is examining the incident.
This is a message to the people of Lebanon.
Meanwhile, the Washington Post reports that Israel's Prime Minister has told the Biden administration he was willing to opt for a more limited counterstrike in response to this month's missile attack by Iran. In Gaza, the UN has condemned the large number of civilian casualties caused by Israeli strikes on the north of the enclave in recent days. The Pentagon has confirmed it is sending a high-altitude anti-missile system operated by U.S. troops to Israel. Officials say the Terminal High-Altitude Area Defense Battery will bolster Israeli air defenses against Iran's missile attack on the country earlier this month. President Joe Biden has said it is meant to defend Israel, which is still expected to retaliate against the Iranian strike involving more than 180 ballistic missiles fired at Israel on October the 1st. India and Canada have expelled their top diplomats amid escalating tensions over the assassination of a Sikh separatist on Canadian soil.
Agents of the government of India were directly involved in the killing of a Canadian citizen.
While past disagreements have strained ties, none have reached this level of open confrontation. The tit-for-tat expulsions followed Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's claim that Canadian police were investigating allegations of Indian agents' direct involvement in the June 2023 killing. Canadian police further accused Indian agents of involvement in homicides, extortion and violent acts, targeting pro-Khalistan supporters advocating a separate Sikh homeland in India. Delhi rejected the allegations as preposterous. Footage released by South Korea's Ministry of National Defense shows the moment North Korea has blown up roads connecting it to South Korea. It comes after Pyongyang vowed last week to cut off the roads and railways once seen as symbols of inter-Korean cooperation in a bid to completely separate the two countries. The Korean People's Army described the move as a self-defensive measure for inhibiting war, claiming it was in response to war exercises in South Korea. It marks an escalation of hostility at a time when tensions between the Koreas are at their highest point in years. Russian authorities say they've rescued a man whose tiny boat drifted for 67 days since August in waters edging the northwestern Pacific. Social media images showed a thin, bearded man wearing a hooded jacket and orange emergency vest in a catamaran-like sailboat, flying a red flag from a small pole. The regional prosecutor's office, charged with handling transport issues, said 2 other people on board had died during the ordeal. The boat was finally sighted by fishermen near a village off the coast of the Kamchatka Peninsula. A spacecraft that will hunt for signs of alien life on one of Jupiter's icy moons has blasted off from Cape Canaveral in Florida.
And liftoff.
Liftoff, Falcon Heavy with Europa Clipper.
NASA launched the spacecraft at 12:06 local time after Hurricane Milton forced the mission to postpone plans last week. Europa Clipper will now travel 1.8 billion miles to reach Europa, a deeply mysterious moon orbiting Jupiter. It will not arrive until 2030, but what it finds could change what we know about life in our solar system. Trapped under the moon's surface could be a vast ocean with double the amount of water on Earth. And a long-period comet that returns to the inner solar system just once in 80,000 years has been caught on camera. The Shinchan Atlas comet was filmed by a local astrophotography enthusiast in the Russian town of Kamsk-Uralsky in the Ural region. Here, the comet seen in the sky over Qinghai Lake, China's largest inland saltwater lake, and here streaking across the North Macedonian sky. The comet is expected to be visible through until the end of October. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon. It's time to talk sports. MFF Queens have retained their NBBF Women's Basketball League title, beating Nigeria Customs 64-53 points in the final played at the National Stadium here in Lagos. The Lagos-based team continued their dominance against their opponents from Abuja, which they also faced in the finals in the last edition. The Queens will represent Nigeria in the continental engagement next year.
The first time teams are now before we won it, people underrated us. No, nothing. We now won it. Nobody. These people are good. So now everybody came. So we had to be hard work, sleepless nights. The girls, they really tried. I pushed them, I over pushed them, and the end result now. We won't think of the pain. Don't worry. Yes, now even in the fourth quarter, in the third quarter, we still allow them to come back. Because the way we led in the first half, I wanted it to continue that 19 points to increase on it, but they came back, cut it to 10, cut it to 9. But anyhow, even if it is 1 point, win and win.
Away from basketball, President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Nigeria's Waheed Enito-Shodi on his election as president of the African Table Tennis Federation at the organization's elective annual general meeting earlier today in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The 40-member electorate unanimously elected the deputy president of the AWTF, replacing Egypt's Khalid El Sahi, who has completed 3 terms. The president notes that Oshodi's election is a proud moment for Nigeria and is confident he will bring his extensive leadership experience to the continent's table tennis ruling body. And following the inhumane treatment of the Super Eagles of Nigeria in Libya, the House of Representatives is urging the federal government to invite the Libyan ambassador to Nigeria for explanation. Raised as a matter of urgent national importance by the Chairman House Committee on Sports, Kabiru Amadu, the House is further asking the NFF to make a formal complaint to CAF and FIFA. The House also commended the action of the NFF to boycott the game, which is scheduled to hold today.
Mr. Speaker, the following prayers were resolved. Number 1, to condemn in totality the inhuman treatment, prostration of the Super Eagles of the Federation by the Libyan Football Federation. Number 2, to sympathize with the Super Eagles and appreciate their patriotism. Number 3, to urge the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, to make an official complaint to the Confederation of African Football CAF and the Federation of International Football Association FIFA for the dehumanization of the Super Eagles players and NFF contingent by the Libyan authorities on the 13 to 14 October 2024 in Libya. Number 4, to call on the federal government of Nigeria to immediately invite the Libyan ambassador to Nigeria for questioning on the development above. Number 5, and the last prayer, to mandate the House Committees on Sports and Foreign Affairs to investigate the incident.
Nigeria's under-17 girls, the Flamingos, will be gunning for maximum points when they take on their counterparts from New Zealand on Wednesday night in what is actually the first match of this year's FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup Finals in the Dominican Republic. Although the game between the host nation, Dominican Republic, and the Ecuador is billed as the opening match, Nigeria and New Zealand will do battle at 9 p.m. Nigerian time, while the host nation and Ecuador will square up at 2 a.m. on Thursday. The Flamingos, who are bronze medalists in the last edition of the competition in India, are aiming to go further this time, with head coach Bankole Oluwakere insisting that he has the ammunition to overcome opponents on their way. And that's your sports news tonight. I'm Kelly. Thank you guys. Back to you today.
Thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. The Central Bank of Nigeria, Governor Yemi Cardozo, has projected that Nigeria's economy will grow by 3.2% in 2024 and 3.3% in 2025, with a robust growth rate of 4.3% anticipated in the long term. Stakeholders at the Nigerian Economic Summit have recommended the creation of an industrial policy, strategic collaborations, and an improved regulatory environment to boost manufacturing in Nigeria. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Do have a good night and please stay safe.